Today we're not really talking about software, not in the way you might think. We're going to dive into a simple idea. I'm talking just a grid of rows and columns that, kind of by accident, completely changed how we work, how we think, how we make decisions. This is the story of an accidental revolution.
Okay, so here's a riddle for you. What connects a stuffy Harvard classroom, one of the very first Apple computers, and maybe the most important business tool ever created? I mean, it sounds like the setup to a really weird joke, right? What could possibly link all those things together?
Well, the answer is the electronic spreadsheet. And I know, that might not sound super exciting, but stick with me. This thing is so fundamental to our lives now, it just feels like it's always been there, right? Like air or water. But it hasn't. And its origin story? Oh, it's this amazing mix of pure frustration, a flash of genius, and just perfect timing.
So, to really get why the spreadsheet was such a bombshell, you have to picture the world before it. We need to go back in time to a world of constant, mind-numbing, agonizing recalculation.
Okay, really try to imagine this. You're an accountant. It's the 1970s. You've just spent days hunched over this giant piece of paper, a ledger, working out a financial forecast. And then your boss walks in and says, "Hey, can we just change this one number right here?" And your heart sinks. Because that one tiny change means every single calculation that follows is now wrong. You have to get out the eraser and redo literally everything. It was just so slow, so tedious, and a total recipe for disaster.
So you've got this huge, universal problem just sitting there, waiting for someone to solve it. And the solution? Well, it didn't come from some massive tech corporation with a huge R&D budget. Nope, it came from a student who was just plain tired of his homework.
So let me introduce you to Dan Bricklin. It's 1978. He's at Harvard Business School, sitting in class, probably bored out of his mind, watching his professor up at the blackboard, erasing numbers, writing new ones, recalculating everything by hand. And right then, Bricklin has this thought. It's so simple. What if the blackboard could just recalculate itself? And that little question, that was the spark that lit the fire.
And this really gets to the heart of what innovation is all about. It's never about technology just for the sake of technology. It always starts with a person, a real person, who's got a problem they can't solve. And they just think, there has to be a better way. Bricklin's frustration with his homework, well, it was about to change everything.
Okay, so having an idea is one thing, but turning that idea into a product that pretty much launches an entire industry? Whoa, that's the next chapter of this incredible story.
And check out how fast this happened. It's truly astonishing. In 1979, that's barely a year after his classroom daydream, Bricklin and his partner release a program called VisiCalc for the Apple II. And its success, it wasn't just big, it was massive. So big, in fact, that it basically forced corporate giants like IBM to sit up and take the whole personal computer thing seriously.
This is actually where the term killer app comes from. I mean, think about it. Before VisiCalc, most people saw personal computers as just toys for nerds and hobbyists. But VisiCalc, it solved a huge, expensive problem for this giant, untapped market of small businesses. Suddenly, an accountant or a local shop owner could do the kind of complex financial modeling that used to require a giant corporate mainframe computer. It single-handedly turned the Apple II from a curiosity into an absolutely essential business machine.
All right, so that's the history. But what is a spreadsheet, really? Let's break it down to its beautiful, simple core, the grid.
Okay, so at its heart, it all starts with the worksheet. It's just an electronic grid, right? And each little box in that grid is called a cell. Now, a cell can hold one of three things. You can put words in it, you can put numbers in it, or, and this right here is the magic, you can put a formula in it. And this little symbol, the equal sign, that is the key that unlocks all the power. The second you type an equal sign into a cell, you're basically switching the spreadsheet's brain on. You're telling it, hey, don't just sit there and hold this info for me. I need you to calculate something.
And this, right here, this is the whole revolution in a nutshell. You go from this static world of paper, where one tiny change means starting all over again, to this dynamic, living, digital world, where you change one number and everything updates, instantly, accurately. That shift, that's the whole ballgame.
And what's so great is that the language it speaks is just basic math, the stuff we all learned in school. You don't have to be a coder, you just need to remember that the little star means multiply and the slash means divide. It's a language for calculating that pretty much anyone can understand.
Then things got even smarter with something called functions.
Okay, think of functions as like pre-built power tools. A formula is something you build yourself, right? Like adding cell A1 and cell B1. But a function is a ready-to-go command for a common job. I mean, why would you manually add 100 different cells when you can just use the sum function? They're basically these awesome shortcuts that do all the heavy lifting for you.
So, okay, you've solved your problem, all the calculations are done, but now you're just staring at a giant wall of numbers. It can be kind of hard to see what's really going on, right? The next big step was about making those numbers talk.
And that's where visualization comes in. This is such a crucial step. Charts and graphs, they take all those numbers, all those answers you calculated, and they turn them into a picture, a story that your brain can process in like a split second. This is how you go from just having data to actually having insight.
And there's a different tool for every kind of story you need to tell. Want to compare sales figures between different stores? A column chart is perfect for that. Need to show how your subscriber count has grown over time? A line chart is your best friend. Every type of chart has its own special job.
Just look at a simple bar chart, like this one. Instantly, without even reading a single number, you know exactly how these items stack up against each other. That is the power of making your numbers visual.
All right, let's wrap this all up. We've gone from a student's simple idea all the way to a global standard. So what's the big takeaway here?
You know, the software itself has changed a lot. We went from VisiCalc to Lotus 123 to Microsoft Excel and many others, and they've gotten unbelievably powerful. But Dan Bricklin's original idea, that simple, dynamic grid that just recalculates itself, that is still the beating heart inside every single spreadsheet out there today.
And that brings us right back to the most important thing to remember. It's so easy to get lost in all the features and the functions and the fancy charts, but when you strip it all away, a spreadsheet is just a tool. A really, really powerful and flexible tool for solving a problem.
Think about it. The very first spreadsheet wasn't built with the grand ambition of changing the world. It was just built to make a student's homework a little bit easier. The whole world-changing part, that was just a happy accident that came from solving one small personal problem. So the real question this story leaves us with is, what problem will you solve with it?